Okay, Mr. Walker back again. This should be the last in the series of videos on how we're going to solve linear equations. What type of problem are we trying to solve this time? We've done one step and we've done two step. Now we're going to do multi-step equations. How do we know what type of problem it is? This time we have an equation with one variable, but now we need to combine like terms and or use the distributive property before we get to our properties of equality. Sometimes we call this setup. So here we've got a 7p and a 2p. We need to combine those two and then use our properties of equality. Here we have parentheses being multiplied. That's our distributive property. And then we would use our properties of equality. How do we do this? So, multi-step. We have to combine our like terms and or distribute first. Then we use our properties of equality, potentially twice, if we have a two-step equation. If after combining and distributing, we don't have a two-step, we would only use our one-step methods. Order will matter again if we have two steps. We'll undo addition and subtraction first. The second step will be to undo using multiplication or division. Our final question, how do we check our answer? This is the same as every other video. We will take our final solution, plug it back into the original equation, and solve to ensure that both sides are still equal. So we've answered our 4 questions. How do we know what type of problem are we trying to solve? How do we know what type of problem it is? How do we do it? And then how do we check our answer? All right, solving multi-step equations. Let's look at steps, right? Because this isn't just one or two. We've got to look at a multitude of things. 1, we're going to use the distributive property if necessary. Combine like terms if necessary. Undo addition or subtraction. Undo multiplication or division. So, we're going to do 2 different examples. The first one we'll use combining like terms. So, let's talk about like terms for a second. A like term means we've got a variable and another variable with some sort of number in front of them, and our variable has the same exponent. So here, I've got a 2x and a 1x. They are both x's, so we can combine the 2 and the 1. If I made this an x squared, I can't add an x and an x squared. So a like term means a variable with the same exponent. So, let's jump into this. Our first problem, we've got 2x plus 7 plus x equals 16. We don't have parentheses, so we're not distributing, so we're going to group or combine like terms. 2x plus x is 3x. We'll bring our 7 down, and now we have 3x plus 7 equals 16. That is now a 2-step equation, which we know how to do. We've got an addition, so we're going to subtract both sides. So, minus 7 here, minus 7 here. Bring our 3x down. Seven minus 7 is 0. 16 minus 7 is 9. So now we have 3x plus 9. We are back to a 1-step equation. We divide both sides by 3. Our 3's cancel. X comes down. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay? So, we think our answer is 3. We can go back and check our answer. We'll do it up here with the two-step. So we've got 3x plus 7 is supposed to equal to 16. We're going to plug a 3 in for the x. So 3 times 3 plus 7 is supposed to be equal to 16. 9 plus 7 is equal to 16. 16 equals 16. Our answer checks. So that's our first multi-step equation example. All we had to do was combine like terms. That led us to a two-step equation, which then led us to a one-step equation. We're just using the methods and tools we've used in previous videos. So let's look at our second example of a multi-step equation. Okay? This time we're going to distribute. What does distribute mean? Okay? That's what we have right here. Okay? I've got something in parentheses and I'm multiplying. If you think about PEMDAS, we have to deal with parentheses first. The most common mistake people make is not to multiply all the way through. We need to multiply the 2 times the 5x and the 2 times negative 3. So let's use our distributive property. 2 times 5 is 10x. 2 times 3 is 6. Now notice, we are back to a two-step equation. We have to use order. We're going to undo the subtraction first. So we're going to add 6 to both sides of the equation. Minus 6 plus 6 is 0. So our 10x comes down. 14 plus 6 is 20. Our 20 comes down. Now notice we are back to a one-step equation. We have multiplication, so we're going to divide both sides by 10. Okay? The 10s cancel, x comes down. 20 divided by 10 is 2. So we think our answer is 2. We'll check that in just a second. Let's sort of go back and review very quickly. We multiplied to clear our parentheses. That left us with a two-step equation, which then led us with a one-step equation, which then gave us our answer. And that's how we would solve a problem with the distributive property. Now, we always have to go back and check our answer. So we're going to go back and plug 2 in. If I think our original equation was, let me rewrite this. Okay, actually we can copy. I'll bring him down. Okay, so we've got 2 times 5 times x. X is, we think, is 2. Minus 3 is equal to 14. So inside the parentheses, we multiply 5 times 2. That gives us 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. 2 times 7 is 14. 14 equals 14. Our answer checks. That's how we will solve a multi-step equation that involves either combining like terms or the distributive property, and sometimes it'll involve both. So sometimes after you distribute, you'll have to combine like terms. An example of that might be, instead of 5x minus 3, maybe it said 2 times 5x minus 3x. In which case, at the end, we could either combine in front, or we could say 2 times 2x. All right, that's all for this one. Thanks.